Welcome to Bring Out Your Badass Self, a movement to break your negative thoughts and habits and instead focus on building each other up and encouraging fearless authenticity.
Each week, we will get vulnerable and share experiences alongside our guests and audience. Come rediscover your inner badass self.
Good morning, badass.
Good morning, badass. How are you doing this morning?
I am good. I'm excited for today, for this episode. I'm excited for the weekend and next week. Next week I'm traveling, so I'm excited about that.
Ooh, where are you heading?
I'm headed to DC or Virginia.
Duh.
Virginia is for lovers. I'm so infatuated with the Virginia is for lovers like license plates that the entire time I'm in Virginia, I only refer to it as Virginia's for lovers. Just love it.
Oh my gosh. Well, I see some people coming in. And by the way, I clicked on the phone while I was coming in.
Yeah.
And I noticed some people that made some comments. So I'm hoping that we see their comments come up. But Gloria was one of them. Excuse me.
Oh, no problem.
I just realized I didn't have my microphone over here. So that may actually be better.
Yeah.
But just know that sometimes, for whatever reason, we are not able to see comments. So if we're not pulling up your comments, please just note that maybe go head over to YouTube or look at, the security, the things that you're allowing us to be able to see. I don't know. But I did see that Gloria had made a comment whenever I quickly had pulled that up, and I'm letting her know that I can't see your comment. However, I can see some other individuals. So Myra is joining us and she says, good morning.
Good morning.
And we have Maria who's coming in from YouTube. She's on the road.
Yeah, road warrior.
And then we have someone we can't see. Oh, it's Bruce. Bruce,
Yeah.
we should know because of the purple hearts.
Yeah. Yeah.
He said, morning badasses on this Purple Friday.
Morning,
and then
Bruce.
Lori's coming in. She said, good morning, badasses.
Good morning, Lori.
Oh, there's Murray. There she is, Gloria. So her message is coming up. Good. She said, good morning.
Good morning.
So I do want to let our audience know that Carole has been having a little bit of technical issues this morning, and we are crossing our fingers that she is going to be able to get back to us. We were sitting there chatting with her, and she ended up cutting out twice. During the beginning, and she restarted. She came back, and then it happened again. So right now, we know that she is doing some technical troubleshooting, trying to get back on, but we're going to continue, and we're going to keep the show going.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about her a little bit and hope that she's able to get back in. And we can talk about the topic of breaking societal norms, like it's nobody's business. I mean, we've got that handled.
We do.
Hopefully she's back because she's so cool. So you guys are going to love Carole. And if we can't work this out for today for some reason, we'll figure out another way to get her on.
Absolutely. The thing that I really like about her is Cate and I feel like badasses, but when we started talking with Carole, we're like, oh shit, she is the OG of badasses.
Right. Yeah. She's got 20 years on me, 10 on you about, right. Or a little bit more. She's mid-60s and she's just a fucking riot and amazing. So, really hope that we can get her on. If not, maybe we'll send her a hotspot or something. Maybe she's in, she just doesn't have the great, greatest internet or whatever.
I know. Well, we do have someone else coming in. Jennifer is here from Tennessee. Oh, I see a device coming up. I see Carole maybe coming on. We'll see. And so we'll see. She was having difficulty hearing us. So I'm just going to see if in the back end, if she can give us a thumb up that she can hear us. And so, she can hear us. So let's do a couple more people that are here, and then we will bring Carole on. And so we have another Facebook user. So if you go to StreamYard.com/Facebook, we can then see your name. But they said, good morning, my loves. I'm wondering if that's Jenna.
I think it might be with the little stars.
I know, that's what it feels like,
Yeah,
energy-wise.
her divine self.
Exactly. Kim, good morning and happy Friday to my favorite beautiful badass ladies. Carmen is here. She said, "Good morning, my favorite beautiful badasses." Do you see a trend, Kate? You know,
Yes.
we're beautiful and we're badasses.
Yep.
Both
BB.
the same. And then Carol, yes, Carol is the coolest, and we're so excited. And Teresa's joining us. She says, "Good morning."
Good morning, Teresa. I miss you.
Jenna said, "Yes, it is her." And so,
and Lori confirmed.
Carol disappeared again. Oh my goodness. So, all right, fingers crossed she is able to join us. It does look like she gave us a private message. Let's see. Cox Cable is down for maintenance. So
Oh my God.
I think she is back. Carol, I would recommend that we also get you on the phone as an alternate as well. But let's go ahead and bring her on while we have her. So give me just a second. Can you hear us, Carol?
I can, but I don't know if you can hear me.
We can, yes.
Score.
Awesome. And so today we have Carole, and it's Del Vecchio, correct?
Actually, it's Del Vecchio with a K sound.
Vecchio. Okay, that makes more sense. Is that Italian?
It is.
Yeah. Well, you got Italian. I married an Italian, and Kate is Italian, so there must be something about that.
Really?
Yes,
well,
I am.
That says a lot.
I'm Italian and German, and so I got the German coloring, but no, I'm the only one. Everyone else in my family is, nice and brown. But
well, I got my grandmother actually blonde hair, blue eyes, and she was from northern Italy. There was a lot of infiltration over the border, I've been told.
Yes, so Jay's family was the same. And so he was blonde hair, blue eyes whenever he first was born, as well as his son. But they trace all the way back to Italy as well. So Carole, so one of the things we were saying is that for us, Carole is what we would call an OG badass. And we're excited about today's, I know, she's like, so for us, it is about breaking societal norms. That is today's topic. And Carole really exudes that not only as she was growing up, but also within her career and as she's continuing on. And so Carole, what we would like to first do is maybe just give the audience a little bit more about what you're currently doing, your current background, and what it is you're doing right now. Then we'll head back a little bit more to as Carole was growing up as a young individual.
I gotcha. I am almost retired, which is still surreal, right? But I have always maintained, I have my own welding fab shop on my property. And when I could make time, I continued to teach workshops at home in my shop. So now I am looking at just expanding that and doing it. Well, I'll try to take Sunday off, but there's no guarantees, at least 5 days a week. And what I do is I don't judge by age. I judge by individual, which is the story of my life anyway. I judge everything by individual. So my youngest student is 7, and the oldest student I've ever taught is 70. So, whatever, if you are into it and you have the maturity, right, especially in a younger person, to be in a shop environment, you're welcome. And what I found is that students who are very young and are introduced to the shop environment, they just become accustomed to it and comfortable in it, literally by osmosis, until they get to the point where I feel they're competent to handle machinery. But the other thing I did a few years back, which was a joy, is I did a weld and sip. Like how they have paint and sip, because I wanted women to be in a comfortable environment. I don't care who you are as a female. If you're like the only female, or you are one of 2 females in a crowd of males, it's never going to be comfortable. So I want women to come in and feel they can be themselves in a very safe environment and learn some basics about welding. We have picnic tables outside the shop, so we weld a little, drink a little, weld a little, drink a little, but nothing to excess. I just wanted it to be more of a social introduction to what you can do in a shop. So that's my focus. Basically, I did one last thing and I'll shut up. I went to an event called Touch a Truck by Tom DiCello. It's a subsidiary of Build Something Incorporated, I think. And what they do is they have all kinds of machinery and exhibits for kids. And what I saw mostly was parents. Well, it's like $5 a ticket, right? So it's very affordable. But I saw parents wheeling like little kids around, and strollers and stuff. So what a great way to have children introduced to a whole new environment and construction and all that. So I'm going to do more of that, and we'll see where it leads. I don't know, but I'm just going to teach and do things the way that Carole the Great, no, I really feel are functional and work for people. I cannot work within the confines of an institution. I even hate that word, institution. Yuck. Anyway, next.
I love it. And I have to pull up Gloria's comment. She said, I will drive up for a weld and sip. And I got to tell you, I like the idea of that. And so where is it that we're all coming? When are we coming?
Yeah.
Oh, you are all welcome. We could have a party. We could have a pig roast. I have friends that have live bands. We could make it a really good time.
Yes.
So I am in Enfield, Connecticut.
Okay, cool.
Okay. You aren't going to be too far from there, Kate.
Where are you, Kate?
Well, she's going to be in DC next week. So,
but I'm going to be in Virginia next week. Yeah. Virginia's for lovers. I love this, Carole. You are amazing. I love the weld and sip. Like, this is a genius idea. And I think anything that you can do that kids, like a lot of young kids, and it's not just boys, it really truly isn't, are interested in how things work and machinery. And for we have 6 kids, so we've been through quite a lot of littles that like this, and you're right, the sooner you can expose it to them, the better.
Yeah. That's why I feel so comfortable doing what I do, because my parents ran businesses, sole proprietors. So what do you think the kids become? Slave labor. No, I'm only kidding. We are part of the package from the moment we can pick up and carry and do things. So this is not weird to me at all, what I do. It's normal, but I'm old. I'm not ancient, but I'm old. So I cannot superimpose my life experience on the younger generations, but holistically speaking, the hand to eye to brain to think to doing is a connection that is so significant in life skills. I don't care what you choose as a career. When we negate that creative component, the hands-on component, I am not a neuroscientist, but I've done some reading. We really are doing our kids a huge disservice, huge. I want them. STEM is great. I have a STEM certificate. I can do all kinds of techie things and be real geeky, but I really enjoy getting dirty. So I'm going to be in my shop. I'm going to have black marks all over my face. I used to walk through colleges and universities with dirt on my face just for fun. It upset a lot of people, and I never really understood, because if they ever said anything, I go, well, there's this stuff. It's called soap and water. Give me 30 seconds and I'll be back to normal.
Yeah. I resonate with especially the first part that you said, so the child labor aspect. And so I know my mom is on here, and she said hello to you. And so my dad, as I was growing up, I delivered ice. And so starting at age 9, I worked with my dad delivering ice to different places. It was a very tough atmosphere to do. People are like, oh, that's so cool. I'm like, oh yeah, ha. But you would be dealing with like 100-degree heat and have to be in this huge overalls with the hat and the gloves and all of those types of things, but it really taught me a lot about what real hard work is like. And I
Yeah.
think that when I think about that, my husband and I talk about this with even our kids, like they don't really know hard work. And it's like,
Mhm.
what do we do to really try to expose them to this? So I want to focus on, like, tell me a little bit more about even your childhood. So you've mentioned just a little bit about your parents being entrepreneurs, but let's
Right.
tell me a little bit about the younger version of Carole.
Okay, where it all started.
She's like, let me get
So
my drink first.
I was very fortunate to have been adopted into a very wealthy family. Of course, I didn't know the wealth part because I'm just a little kid, but my parents actually bought a section of our town and developed it. So when I say I kind of understand development and construction, I was never an iron worker, but we always had properties and there was always building and maintaining. It was just part of my environment.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know what this is all about, but I did do my DNA and I am part Viking. So I'm thinking I have some Viking DNA. Okay, so I'm attributing my interesting spirit to that. But if I had a choice between staying in the lovely home with the lovely air conditioning and the lovely furniture and the lovely environment, very feng shui, or being outside sweating, working with my father, I chose working with my father. When I was 4 or 5 years old, my job was to carry the snow shovel around, and we would, excuse me, there was a cul-de-sac at the end of the street. And when there was building and stuff, there would be dirt and sand and everything in the street. And I would walk with my father, and he would do that, make a little pile and sweep it up onto the shovel, and I would dump it in the wheelbarrow. And I loved it, absolutely loved it. Anything that was outside kind of had a rugged appeal. I just want to say about working hard, being a teacher took me away from working hard. I don't feel well. When I work physically hard part of the day, at the end of the day, I feel so much better and I sleep so much better. And I could go to the gym and pick it up and put it down and pick it up and put it down, but it's not the same. Anyway, my father also had this gadget called a sweeper. We had a like a golf course style mower. It was huge, had these huge blades on it. And I would like sit on his shoulders and we would do the yard, but then we had to sweep it. And he had a machine called a sweeper. And it was just a huge catch-all for the grass clippings, and I would ride in it. And the grass would flow all over me and I'd get buried in the grass. And I just thought it was like the greatest thing in the world. But this was the kicker. When I was about 9 or 10, my nonno, right, my mom's dad, he was a self-taught everything, painter, builder. He actually taught himself how to repair televisions and radios during the Depression. So he was that kind of a fidget with things guy. He had a little shop. He had a shop, and I would hide out there. So I didn't have to like do laundry, make beds, and stuff like that. So he had a hand crank grinder. It was pedestal mounted, and he let me put sharp edges on those huge Italian butter knives, Italian cutlery that's like a foot long, that stuff.
Yeah.
I would like make sparks with it. And I'm like, this is just great. I also mixed cement with my dad in wheelbarrows, poured cement, built forms. And this was all before I was 13 years old. So, I mean, I chose it, but at the same time, there was a certain momentum set in place for me at a very young age, even though my mom wanted me to be a debutante, concert pianist, world-class tennis player, go to the country club, dressed up to the T, and play bridge and have luncheons. Didn't work out. Didn't work out. Couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. Still couldn't do it. For all the money in the world, I am wearing today my old Harley badass sweatshirt, some jeans that have holes in them, flip-flops. That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
How it goes.
Yep. I mean, I think that I see a lot of similarities in some of my story with you. I grew up with 3 brothers and I was closest to my dad. And, my dad, my mom and dad, met before they had their college degrees. So I remember them going back to school. But before that, they struggled financially. And my dad actually had a paper route. It wasn't like a residential paper route. He was doing USA Today for businesses, if you remember.
Yep.
And so this was at 4 or 5 in the morning, and my mom was in school, so my dad would pack up, the 4 of us, and we would be in the minivan with these stacks of papers, and we would be delivering them all over the place, and to see where that was and where he is now, it's a world of difference.
Yeah.
But that hard work and like being instilled at a young age, it's definitely defining,
Mhm.
and it kind of was my path. I went through life as a tomboy, and I went to school in electrical engineering where I was the only female. There were a couple of Asian girls, but I couldn't connect with them because they didn't speak English very well at all. So, and they kind of stuck to themselves, but I mean, literally there was one other, girl in my entire college program. And it looks like this resonates with Teresa too. She has all sorts of stories. Yeah.
Yeah, she said, "This is so amazing. Growing up, I learned all the traditional girl chores, cooking, cleaning, laundry." She put that in quotes. But you better believe my dad made sure I could change tires, do oil changes, and know all the different types of tools. And I can build a bookshelf faster than her husband. So
Very cool.
I think
having a male.
Go ahead.
Yeah. A male who doesn't condemn you, who doesn't judge you for doing non-female things. I even hate that term. Forgive me for using it. But it's just a seal of approval in you. It is such a confidence builder. And most of the females that I have worked with as a welding instructor had that in some form, had a very strong male figure that said, yeah, this is what you want to do? I know some stuff. Let me teach you. Or what can I do to help you?
Yeah, they have this. My dad was determined not to have what he called a wimpy daughter. He wanted a strong daughter. And one of his tactics when I was a baby, he would get in my way when I was crawling to get somewhere. I also rolled a lot. I log rolled apparently. But he would get in my way consistently so that I had to figure out a different way to go around him. So like I would literally be on the ground and he would step into my way. That was one of the stories he liked to tell. And I think, I think, when we have, just like you say, when we have men who don't see us as too gentle to do, the hard shit.
Yeah. I know my father would take me hunting. Like he definitely wanted me to understand, like if my car broke down, what it is that I needed to do to be able to change a tire. I learned how to, change oil. Now, do I want to do it now? No. That's not really something I'm really into, but I also appreciate the fact that if I had to, I could figure it out. And so I think that ultimately is the mindset that with a lot of times as girls are growing up, especially, and really sometimes even just kids in general, is that they're not given permission to sort of flow between what we consider masculine and feminine. Males deal with it on the emotional side. They're not allowed to deal with emotions. Girls are sometimes limited whenever it comes to, they give up much easier when it comes to math or when it comes to science or things like that. And being able to be more of a tom girl. Because for me, I was a tom girl growing up. My dad didn't have any boys. He had 2 girls. And so like I went hunting with him. I did all of those things. So Carole, were your parents, either of them, accepting in that? Or did you have to like revolt and sort of find yourself?
Yeah, I was on my own. I had to separate. I walked away from my family in my 20s because Well, you can imagine. I mean, I would do things, I would act out a little bit, you know what I'm saying? So, like, if I had to go to the country club, I'd wear the most outlandish, outrageous clothes just to, like, piss them off because the control was just too much for me. I would just, not to embarrass them, but this burning desire to remain an individual, it permeated everything in my life. I think my parents perceived it as pure unadulterated rebellion, and that was not the case at all. I was just trying to let my insides come out, but it was not acceptable. In my environment, it was not acceptable. So I left with relatively nothing. I mean, my parents were very wealthy, but it was all controlled money, right? So yes, we were well taken care of, and yes, we lived very well, but I didn't have access to the money. We were paid, my brother and I were paid our salary, and that was it, and we worked. So when I left with a little bit of an IRA and ate hot dogs and macaroni and cheese from the Dollar Tree and drove a Ford pickup that didn't have third gear, had a hole in the radiator, and had to carry water around with me so it didn't overheat. And I just decided, well, here's my analogy. Gosh, you guys don't want me to start talking because I'll never shut up. But here's the thing, right?
Oh, do.
Even when I deal with I know, but I have like so much. Anyway, so even with my students, I'm fairly empathic, intuitive. I've always been that way. I will read you pretty accurately even before you open your mouth because I just feel things and I'm into behaviors and body language and all. So within a week, I pretty much know who my students are without knowing them. And I refuse to allow what I call Grand Canyon behavior. So I tell my students, I do a little bit of neuroscience, and I say, you know, think about it. The Grand Canyon was just once a river. You get what happens when things flow in the same direction for an extended period of time. And I do talk about how the brain works, you know, with electrical impulses and all that. And I say, so if you're engaged in a behavior, I'm going to put up a dam in your river. And I'm going to make sure that you are forced to flow in another direction, whether you like it or not. I say that to say this. I knew that if I stayed in my family dynamic, the chances of me ever really breaking out before I killed myself or someone else, and I'm not kidding, would be minimal. So I said, I have to throw up my own dam across my river. And that's when I chose to leave. And that's when life got really hard and challenging, but I began to change as an individual. So you have to challenge yourself, and it's very painful. I mean, leaving my family was like an amputation. I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
But just imagine this to all my friends who are also from extremely wealthy families are looking at me going, are you freaking nuts? You're leaving all this money to go do what? Why are you doing that? And I don't think to this day that they truly understand it, but nor do I care. So again, emphasis on the individual journey. We are missing individuality in our society. I love the news. I am a news and information junkie, but when we sabotage our child's individual path with so much influx from how it's supposed to be through social imagery, what's happening to the individual while conform and be part of the herd? Yeah, sorry. Great things don't happen. Great things don't happen when we don't allow people to walk a separate path if they see things differently. We call it neurodivergence now. I just call it, you know, people being who they were innately born to be. Okay, done.
No, I just want to keep asking you questions because like I love everything that you were saying, and it is everything that society needs to hear. So please don't shut up. Continue to let people understand the things that the beauty in finding yourself, the beauty in not being afraid of walking away from everything and not knowing what will happen, but knowing that you're going to be true to yourself. Like that is fearlessness. That is authenticity. And that's really what I want for everyone in life, is to say, fuck it. I'm going to find myself, and, at whatever cost that is.
Yeah, exactly. That's how
Yeah,
we define
I
being
was
a
willing,
badass.
right. I was willing to be homeless to get to where I had to be, willing to go there, because that suffocation is, it's just like a fate worse than death. And what's really sad is people who love you, who truly love you, are doing it to you without the awareness most of the time that that is what they're doing.
Right.
So I was just considered a rebel. I was an outlier. This is really sad, but this is some of the stuff I had to do with. My poor mom, and she had a boatload of trauma that came with her, which I understand much better now that I'm older and away from it all. She really felt that she was directing me on the better path.
Sure.
In her heart of hearts, she would often tell me that she was sorry that she adopted me, and that obviously I came from bad stock, because when you come from bad genes, this is the kind of, yeah. Yes, but here's the thing. I'm such a fighter. And you know what? Anyone who's at the, well, I hate to call it the top. I don't call it the top of anything, but let's just say anyone, and there are many, many people who have struggled, right, to be individuals. Many, they all say, I have been up and I have been down and I have been all around. But if I just stay true to the goal, despite whatever happens, I will get there. And that's what I hung on to for years. If I just keep putting one foot in front of the other. And I really feel like I'm at the precipice of something, at a point that I've worked very hard for and sacrificed for, because I really believe in what I believe. And a lot of what I believe is based on my own real life experience. I've read some stuff in books, but I've lived an awful lot. So when people bring me their children, and most of their children need serious mentorship, and I don't mean that judgmentally, but I can see right away where they've been. I can understand the family dynamic pretty quickly. My job is to help that child uncover these fears, these limitations, what I consider misperceptions, so they find that confidence within themselves. So this isn't just about welding or making stuff. This is, well, why are you afraid to try that? What's scaring you, or how can I help you do this? It's just that little, I call it training wheels. I truly believe no matter how old my students are, I just put on training wheels for a while. And as a parent, when you see your kids got the balance, you take the training wheels off, right? What's so hard about that?
Yep.
Yeah.
There's so many things you just said, Carole, that we could have an entire episode on their own. I mean, this is just amazing. One of the first things I want to say is about you being adopted. I know Sarah and I both had a physical, emotional reaction to you being told that as a child.
Yeah.
And, I am an adoptive parent. My wife and I have adopted 2 kids, but we did foster care for a long time. And that breaks my heart. Even though our kiddos that we've adopted are different. They do come from a different place. And we acknowledge that. Like, we are open about that. We talk about that, but that does not make them bad. Right. And so it's just a shame, but it also happened for a reason, right? I mean, your mother being filled with that much fear that she couldn't allow you to be yourself totally fucking shaped you into who you are.
Well, and look at the lesson that she may not have learned, or maybe she did. I don't know. Because you were there to help her in the fear that she had, but she didn't recognize that. And so you were there to show her that you don't have to conform and be this perfect thing in society that society considers perfect. It is simply about being you, being authentically you. That to me is what authenticity is being allowed to be who you are, but continue to grow. And you and I were talking about earlier that it is about doing it in love. Like when we when we are doing things, we do have to ask ourselves, as we're rebelling or as we're doing things, are we doing it still in alignment with love and the things that we're doing? And if we're doing it out of self-love, isn't that the most important thing?
Mm-hmm. I also
Yeah.
want to say that I knew when it was time to go. I mean, I know in practically every situation. I believe I'm placed. I said a prayer a long time ago to be used to the best purpose for my life. So I
Yes.
believe that I'm placed in certain situations, and I'm not always supposed to be there for the long term. I'm
Mhm.
supposed to make a certain impact or touch certain lives, and then time to move on. So I just want to say to people, when you know that you know, but you're denying that the end of your mission is in front of you and it's time to make a change, don't stay, don't overstay. Because I think that's when a lot of damage happens, because I know my resources get used up. Being the only female, and many times in my life, it has been orchestrated for me to be the only female, because I have to say it, men don't like women like me at all. I am not your mommy. I am not your girlfriend, and I'm not your wife. I am your equal in all things. So when I start to let them know that I may not agree, then I'm isolated intentionally. Mostly other females are removed from the group, and that's their control. It's very sad to say, but I did kind of go through a few years of PTSD with all the psychological ops that were being played on me, and I knew they were. And the truth is, if you ask a lot of females in the military, they will tell you the same, that it's really not an equal playing field. As you rise through the rank, I would imagine, right? As you actually get more credibility, let's call it that, perhaps you feel more empowered, but overall, you are still the odd person out. And I had to leave certain situations because I knew that I just couldn't absorb any more of it. So that's a big message to women out there. If you are in what I call an unhealthy and toxic environment, heed your body signals, right? It's time to move.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Martin Luther King Jr., there's this quote, and he prayed for something very similar, and it was public, but he prayed to be used for a purpose greater than himself, you know?
Yes.
And I feel like when I connect with people that truly believe in healing and individualization, it's the same message, you know? They will, like, his prayer was, show me how to take who I am, who I want to be, and what I can do, and use it for a purpose greater than myself. You know, I find that so inspiring, and it's so cool that you have the same way of thinking, right? As someone who is so pivotal.
I will say, I made it my business to stay in touch with my students through social media. I will tell you that I am in touch with hundreds of students from the beginning when I first started teaching, mainly to make sure that they're okay, because that's who I am. You know, I want to keep tabs and make sure they're in good working environments, especially my females. And also because it keeps my finger on the pulse of what's going on socially in an industry. And I use that information to guide the students that I'm currently working with.
Right.
This is highly frowned upon in education.
Right.
They, whoever the they are, which I haven't quite figured out yet, they don't want the liability of it, it seems. Now, I equate that with my parents and protecting their stuff, because that was a huge thing. I mean, they worked very hard and they wanted to make sure that nothing terrible happened to devastate their lives. So, you know, insurance up the yin yang. We had a huge parking lot at one of our businesses, and none of the kids could skateboard in there, and we had to have police. And I'm like, okay, I get it. So if I am close to my students, where is the huge danger? Are we going to get sued? I'm definitely not looking to have any relationships other than teacher student, but I just found it so strange that they felt afraid of it, afraid of creating a true community. But that's what I am all about. I'm all about community, and I'm all about people helping each other, right? What you have maybe will help me, what I have, skills, whatever will help you. Not popular. And I do see teachers being very overburdened. And I do see this emphasis on, I don't want to use catering to, but I think they see it that way, catering too much to the individual with all these learning disabilities. And how are teachers supposed to do that? It's very hard. It's very challenging, but I did it because that was my job. So maybe they're trying to keep up a wall or something to protect, I don't know, to keep employees, really, because teachers are not really, there are not millions of people flocking to become teachers these days because it's very demanding. But now I have my own place. I go to my own environment, and I'm allowed to create whatever kind of community that I see fit. And I will do everything in my power to make sure that my participants, right, get in touch with the things that are going to help them down the road with their lives and the lives of those people they touch.
Yeah. You know, what I think what you touched upon and how you see kids and children is different than the norm, right? And my wife, Jenna, is amazing at this because it's her job, right? My job is providing a little to create what she can do, but she gets to homeschool our kids. She has that privilege.
Right.
She doesn't engage in what she calls, and I don't even know if it's a phrase, but what she calls is childism. She doesn't engage in that. There are certain things, right? Brains are developing. We have to keep them safe, whatever, you know, but at the end of the day, they deserve just as much to be a human as adults do, right? And that's what you see in them. And that's what you are a part of when you stay in touch with them, when you stay current with their things. You know, we have tons of friends, even homeschooling families that still have this very distinct difference between, you know, what the kiddos are doing and what the parents are doing. And, you know, Jenna and I try really hard to just embed ourselves. You know, what kind of music are you listening to? I want to hear it. You know, we jam out to all the same kind of music all the time. You know, what are you playing? What games are you playing? I want to play them with you. You know, all this stuff, because we are one and we have to adapt to the changing, you know, world all the time. That skill doesn't just behoove, you know, us in our careers and our technology. That is a human experience.
And can I also add, and I'm curious what you think about this, Carole, is that I feel like in the past, the thing we always heard was kids need to be seen but not heard. And for me, that is one of the main issues that I have with society, is that I learn a lot from my daughter. And if we as adults aren't able to recognize that we also become emotional, we also sometimes don't do things that are always
the best for us,
you know, the best for, you know, and we have to be able to self-reflect. That's one of the challenges that I feel like sometimes in schools and in societal, you know, institutions and things like that, is that people need to recognize the fact that we have to be on the same page. And I'm actually having this exact same conversation with one of Riley's teachers, and I'm about to have a parent-teacher conference with them. And I wrote them a message letting them know I want to make sure that we're on the same page. For me, it is about, I want to make sure we're in alignment, that we're on the same page, that it's best, you know, that we're looking for what's best to motivate and educate my daughter.
Right.
If we're in alignment on that, then we can have a further conversation. But if we can't even be in alignment in that point, then I have a problem.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. The other,
you're talking about the us and them, us and them. There should be no separation. In my world, I used to say to my students, day one, look it, the only difference between you and I is that I've been on this planet a bit longer than you, and I have more knowledge and work experience. Other than that, we are exactly the same. There is no us on this side and them on the other side. It's ridiculous.
Yes.
It's just so pointless. It's so counterproductive.
Yeah. We apologize a lot to our kids and to any kids, because the truth is we all make mistakes, right? Like we all lose our shit. We all say things we're not supposed to, you know, and it's become okay in our household and anyone that comes in, because we are that family that attracts other kids, and other kids want to be here because they can be themselves here, right? And we'll apologize to any of them. Like, you know what? I was overwhelmed because the dog was barking, because Bree was literally pulling on my body, and then you came in and you know, asked me a question, and I did not answer it the way I should have. I snipped at you, and I am sorry. And you know what? I'm going to practice it right now. I'm going to show you how I should have responded. And then we model that, you know,
that's great,
to them, because we're all fucking learning, you know, like as a parent, as my kids get older and older, we're learning, and they're, you know, they're all individuals. So I love all of this, that you're Carole, you're amazing.
Yeah, so Mia here said, because this is our first go at life, we're all learning the whole time. We are just older kids. And so I love that. So, Carole, when you are working with parents that have sent kids to you, as an example, and they have that type of mindset, I guess, what are some of the things that you could give to our audience, that if they're dealing with people that are living in what I call sort of the fear, the reptilian part of our brain, what advice would you give people in how it is you deal with people that are constantly living in fear, in the reactions? And also, how is it that individuals can also go beyond themselves, not living in fear, and finding
Their passion.
I guess the desire to really be fearless in what it is their pursuits are?
Very interesting question. Actually, any parent who's been living like that, and there are many, many, and have given the gift to bring their child to me, and I don't mean me being the gift, see the changes through their child, which then impact them. I have one child who's 13 now, and he's been coming since he was maybe 9. This is an extremely slow growth and slow change process, and I am patient beyond patience, because that's what you have to do. I don't want to give too much away, but very difficult family situation, blended family, domestic violence, not good relationships anywhere in the family. And I could see how he was nervous, but he wanted to do it. This young man, nervous, but I really want to do this. So my job as the mentor, and this is the second part of your question, is find a true mentor. Keep looking till you find a true mentor. We're out there. I will bend over backwards for any kid. And that's really what makes the difference. We're taught, I'm digressing just for a second. In our educational system, we're taught to accept the status quo. Oh, my kid has this teacher, and this teacher has these issues, and my kid has to learn to suck up those issues or deal. There's nothing wrong with that, but it depends on where the child is. What happens with me and my students is I lead by example and not a lot of talk. I believe in encouragement. There's so much literature out there about intrinsic and extrinsic motivation and all that. And again, balance and everything. Yes, we need a cheering section. Everybody needs a little bit of a cheering section until they get it, till they start to feel confident. So I am that cheering section. I give all my kids hugs at the end of each workshop. Great work. Thank you so much for coming. I hope you had a really good time. Now I'm going to say something that's highly, highly unpopular. Because I had not the best relationships. Actually, I didn't really have a relationship with my mother and my father because they had all their own stuff going on. I bonded with animals. Animals were my world. I was a caretaker of animals. I loved horses. When I moved to my property here, I did animal rescue for like 25 years. I use the exact same process with kids as I do with abused animals. It's exactly the same. I had a horse that was so starved and beaten. She was such a neurotic wreck. She wore a path along the front fence line, back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. You couldn't go in her stall. She was a nervous wreck. After about 2.5, 3 years, I could walk into her stall. If she was laying down, she would not get up. So that means that that animal felt very secure and safe. And that's what I do with all my students. As time goes on, that hypervigilance that you see in super nervous people, it starts to go away, because my shop becomes home, which is what a classroom should be for students.
Right.
So, parents, if you have kids that have issues and you want to see them develop more of a sense of self and self-confidence, find a mentor who is 1,000% invested in psychological safety. And over time, you will relax as you see your child relax and make progress. There are mentors who really care. There really are. I'm not in it for the money. I don't charge very much at all, bare minimum. I would rather help 50 parents at less money than 10 people at a ton of money. Because here's another thing that has always confused me. Why, when people need therapy, do they have to be gainfully employed so they can have insurance, so they can pay $250 an hour to get help when they don't have the money to have a good job or be gainfully employed? That's something that I've always had a big question mark about. Can you shed any light on that?
Profit. People want to make profit. They want greed.
Yeah. It's bullshit. I agree 100%. There are some things, I mean, that's just the structure of our society here in the US that, I mean, that's a polarizing subject, but in my truth is that there are basic human rights, and mental health and physical health are a part of them. And that should be part of the social contract that we have with our government, in my opinion. And it's not that way in this country, and there's beautiful things about this country. That's why we stay, right? But
there are.
It's a bummer.
And I'll add even more questions to why it is society is set up the way it is. Why is it that the people that we've elected are not judged on the fact of how well overall humans are actually are in society? Why is that not the measure of whether they're actually doing their job as politicians?
Right.
So like we're looking at things backwards. Everything is about money in society. We have changed everything to be about that. And if we really want as a society to change things, we have to change our mindset in understanding what really is important in life. If we want people to be productive, if we don't want them in jail, if we don't want them sick, if we don't want them all these things, then why are we not doing the things that we actually know help, which is the mindset? Because if we are able to actually think for ourselves, what the hell would happen in society? It's not about control anymore.
Right.
Sorry, did I just go off on a tangent?
No, but it's perfect.
No,
I mean,
you're yes, it's all interrelated. It's all interrelated. I cannot stand by and watch a child suffer. I also want to throw this out there. I don't believe in the phraseology mental illness. I wish we could get rid of it, because 9 out of 10 times it was an emotional issue that started the ball rolling. And through perseveration, right, through Grand Canyon thinking, that initial trauma situation, whatever, never was set to rest, was never resolved, and it just grew more profound and more profound. And then we call it mental illness. So I am all about psychological safety. When I deal with a young person, and I am thrilled to be able to give them a sense of self and confidence, I know that when they go out in the world, they will have a rational, pragmatic, fully thought through reaction or way of dealing with that issue, instead of going off the deep end, Where is this information? This should not be part of our educational system. Of course, they should have social emotional skills. They should be given tools as young people. But then we'd solve a lot of our problems, and a lot of people would lose a lot of jobs, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have some great comments. Gloria had to leave, but she said, incredible conversation, ladies. It's been a joy to listen to on the background as I work, but I will finish it later. And she just wanted you to know that she loves you. And Teresa said I could talk to Carole for hours and hours. Thank you for sharing with us, Carole. And Karina said, Carole, you are not bad in the stock. Your parents were so wrong. You were a jewel in the stock. Love your mentality and energy. And then actually quality of life was a priority for certain politicians in NYC, and they were fought against.
Yes, with 100%. Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
One other thing I want to go back to is Maya said, staying will make it come to an end in an explosive way. My experience has always been to stay until a bomb drops. I finally have learned to start trusting my intuition and not waiting for the bomb, basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
All good.
It's all about how we feel, right? How our joy, our happiness, our ability to thrive. And you're right, Carole. I'm going to stop using the phrase mental illness. Like, you've inspired me today, because you were right. I mean, all mental illness is that reaction to a trauma, right? In a lot of ways, yeah, there can be some biological things, but you know what? Those things actually come from generational trauma before, so it's all trauma. And the way to combat trauma is to have skills for emotional regulation, right? Because all the things that you were talking about, when you're in your trauma brain, you're afraid, you have to protect yourself all the time. And there are, like, I lived in my trauma brain for 40 fucking years, and I didn't know any better. I was constantly trying to grow and figure it out, but it wasn't until I truly became in love with myself and aware of what was going on that I was able to access and be open to tools to help me regulate, and it changed my life.
So, Carole, one of the things, when I saw you speaking with someone else, and I can't remember who it was, I was saying to myself, Carole, why are you not creating different groups of people, training them what it is that and getting people to do SIP and welding and kids with welding? Because for me, the more we can spread this type of thing, whether it's welding or something else that's fear, gives people a little bit of fear. It can be whatever talent someone has, but it has to be something that sort of pushes kids or pushes people beyond something that they think can't be done. I mean, this should be a thing. This should be something that we do as a society, that we continue to spread this type of thing. What do you think about that?
Well, I am in still a little bit of a recovery phase. I sucked up some serious abuse for about 17 years, and other people have told me they wouldn't have lasted a year. So I'm giving myself a little bit of a breather, and I'm spending a little time in my own shop doing maintenance. I'm building a couple fabrication tables, but I just want to say right here and now, how could I possibly be doing all this because I'm a girl? I just want to say that for certain people who may be listening. So here's the thing. As I get my own little ducks in a row here, I'm already thinking along those lines. I've already spoken to some people. Funding is a huge thing for me because I've always been self-funded. I've always found a way to get my own money to do stuff, but I'd rather find or actually ask the universe or my God to bring me a situation that will work out without a lot of conflict and disagreements. I need someone who is like-minded, or several people who are like-minded. I'm sure I can find them. But my ultimate goal is two. People used to say, will you please start the Carole School? That's what a lot of the parents used to say to me. And I go, well, I'm not doing anything that will require me to deal with local government, federal agencies. I won't do it. But on some level, I do see this, and I do remember you making that comment, Sarah, and it stayed in my mind. I have also seen, since I started being a little proactive on LinkedIn, I have seen more and more posts of people in the skilled trade area with pictures of what they're doing with younger people. And I really think we need an outreach down to primary school. And I'm not saying put a 4-year-old in a welding shop. I'm saying we need hands-on situations that open kids' minds. This is not new. I mean, this educational theory has been around since forever. Look at Montessori. I love Montessori schools.
Yep.
But it should be in every school. And yes, Sarah, we'll talk more about that. I am going to go reach out to a gentleman who is kind of a friend of mine. We are like-minded, and he is a whiz with money. So as long as I feel that I need the autonomy, I guess is what I'm saying. I need to have my autonomy in whatever I do. So I'm not going to be beholden to anyone for funding. I think that's what I'm saying. When I figure that out, yeah, it could definitely happen.
Yeah, because your like motivation and theory of creating psychological safety should penetrate rest of society. If you could create like a certification class for other like-minded individuals to teach them how to do this so they can go out, just like Sarah's talking about, how cool would that be? Like, that would just be amazing.
It would be great.
I mean, I'm thinking about my daughter. My daughter's 13, and she is one of the most fearless people that I know. And we actually did a whole episode with her and another friend. And just their perception of just the healthy perception that they have about fear was just amazing. And I could see her, even at her young age, going, hey, I'm going to show you how to do zip lining, because that is scary, can be scary stuff, but she does things that like helps other kids. She's like, you can do a back handspring. Let me show you. Let me help you. It's all of those types of things that if we can find people that help people get out of whatever the types of fears that they have, and sometimes it's more of a mental thing. So for me, where I feel like I belong is helping people to understand that they're capable of doing much more than they actually give themselves credit for. It's like, okay, well, let's break it down. Let's try this, and then we'll continue to add. So I think everyone has this ability or has a skill set that they could do it. It's just a matter of them identifying what that is.
Yes. It's really just reaching out. It literally, I mean, if I could put up an image, like one hand reaching out for another hand, that's like all it is. We make it into such a big deal, and it's really nothing. It's just being a human being with some compassion. That's it. I'm not babying anybody. Trust me. I do not enable people at all. As soon as I feel that they have the ability to move to the next step, they're on it.
Amen.
Yeah.
I
love it. So Mia here said, I would absolutely love to take my 12-year-old son and have welding lessons for he and I to learn. Can that be a thing? And so I know this is a common question you get, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yes, it is. I'm just recently retired. I'm just recently let out of the institution. So I need I need a little bit of breathing time, but I'm actually, my spirit, my passion for making is like coming back. That's why I'm going to go torch cut some metal this morning and build a table, because I love doing stuff like that. So I'm just in like a regeneration phase a little bit, but the gears are definitely turning.
I like it.
And this, unfortunately, this need isn't going to go anywhere. So take care of yourself.
Yep.
That is the right thing to do, right? So that you can give to others, so take all the time you need. This isn't going anywhere. And this is a part of it. The wheels spinning, is all a part of it. When the time is right, you'll know, just like when your kids.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so Bruce here said, we are born with it, but we let it be taken from us. And I
Yes.
agree with that. We are, and that's really for us. One of the reasons Cate and I started this is people are born being badasses. We are taught not to
Yeah.
be badass because of societal norms, because of status
Yeah.
quo, to fear certain things. And we have to unlearn all of those things that society, that our parents, unknowingly, teachers, everyone that was a part of us, if they were designed on fear, they then added that on top of us and taught us to live in fear. So it is about us unlearning those things and finding, for me, our inner badass self. So,
Right.
Absolutely.
yeah.
Rock
So,
on.
Carole, there is so much that we can talk about. I would also love to have you back and us just talk about even leadership in general. So let's find a time to be able to do that. But in the meantime, I want people to connect with you. I want them to see the things that I've been seeing on LinkedIn, the things you're doing with kids, to be able to help continue to inspire them. So if they reach out to you, what are the best ways to reach out to you?
So I have worked around the clock. I have no time limitations whatsoever. So I would just love to give you my cell and text me or call me anytime. Can I do that?
Sure. Yeah.
All right. So my cell for anybody who wants to talk to me, 860-394-9795. Yeah, just reach out. If you want to chat, we'll chat. If I can help you with anything, if you want to set up a shop or you have any welding questions or educational questions, if I have information, I would gladly share it.
So you said 860-394-9795?
That is correct.
All right. I have.
Wow, how generous of you. I love
know.
that, Carole. I think that's amazing.
I'm
Karma.
gonna text you
It's all
every day
karma.
just to say hello. And then you are on LinkedIn as well. So I recommend that people, that want to learn more and see more also connect to you that way. And Carole, I can't wait to see what. Oh, go ahead. Was there more?
Yeah, I'm all over the place. I'm on Facebook too. So I do have a page called Metalwork by Carole. And
Okay,
there's
nice.
years of pictures of me and the kidlies and making stuff. So if you want to check that out, that's cool too.
Okay, we'll find that link. I'm just putting it in there. So definitely let's connect that way. And I say, definitely come back. Let's talk
I would love
more because this is an amazing conversation with you. And thank you so much for just allowing our audience to get to know you more and also just to think about society and how they can also break their societal expectations that might be in their head. And just thank you also for the interaction from our audience. And I really encourage you all just to reach out, connect with each other, and let's continue this path of breaking the norms of what people, the demands and the limitations that we put on ourselves, as well as the demands and limitations people put on us.
So well said, Sarah. I don't even think I could wrap it up better than that. So I am so appreciative, Carole, of your time today. It's like the shell has just been cracked for me, and what you bring to the table, and I want more. And it feels like everyone here wants more from Carole, to learn more and to hear more. So take care of yourself, of course, but we would love to have you back.
Yeah, and I would like to give you like a final thoughts you want to leave people with.
Don't look right. Don't look left. Look straight ahead and put one foot in front of the other.
I love it.
I love it.
It's perfect.
Thank you so much, Carole. Thank you, everyone. Have a great weekend. And Carole, we'll be in touch and let's do it again.
Thank
Cool.
you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.